a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and founder director of CIP, Study Abroad and Immigration Specialist. And I previously worked at Conestoga College and Mohawk College as the International Students Recruitment Officer. Today, I have the pleasure of two of my, uh, CIP international graduates, permanent residents of Canada, IT professionals, Saeem and his wife Zifa, to the talk, our CIP International Graduate Review. Saeem and Zifa, thank you very much for joining. Busy schedule, I know, but thank you very much for sparing your time and willingness to share your journey with CIP. So, first question I always ask our international students, are you happy coming here to Canada? Was it a positive decision?
Yes, it
Yes,
was.
it definitely was. Like I think this was a very nice decision that we took, and it was a difficult one because it has own, like, we had to leave everything back in India and come here, but it was definitely a positive decision.
And then for me, I think what motivated you to come here, like that depends on person to person. But what for us was the work-life balance.
Yeah.
And we say, fortunately, touch wood, what you want to say it. We found a company where we have that work-life balance. Like they respect the boundaries and they say, okay, 9 to 5, and then after that, it's your life. And that was something, and we all will agree that is missing it from India. Like we started office
Very
9:30, 10 o'clock, and then even if
There
you
is no
leave
end.
at
Yeah.
8, you feel like you are doing something wrong. People are watching you. You're moving out of office at 8 p.m. So that's something we
That
really
was a
wanted.
motivation.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys are from Bihar. Not many actually take this long journey to Bihar, and I've had many good friends from Bihar, and so your background, did when you applied, when you came to Canada, right? You came as students, but did you have previous work experience back home?
Yeah, so we both of us graduated in 2016. So we started working in IT. Both of us were working in Cognizant. So we were working as a programmer analyst, and our domain was different over there. I was working in robotics process automation domain since the start.
Yeah.
So I think both of us had around 2.5 years of experience before we came here.
And yeah,
So
and that's one thing that I tell all my juniors that probably would be listening this is, if you have even 1 or 2 years of experience, that is very handy, especially when you look for job here, because that's something give you an idea how industry works.
yeah.
So yeah, we both had experience, and that definitely helped us. We got started as a junior developer, that's for sure, because that's you coming in a new country, people don't know you.
Yeah.
But having that experience,
Helped
make
us to
you
make that move, like we helped
easier
us
and
to
faster.
get promotions faster, like within
Uh,
1 year. Even I started as a junior developer, but within 1 year I was promoted to a senior developer, like junior, intermediate, and senior. So that helped, and that experience also helps when we take a technical course. Like our course was mobile solutions development, so it was a difficult course, I would say. So without experience or without programming knowledge, it's really difficult
it's,
to
it's really
get through it. And plus it had a co-op, so there is a severe competition amongst the students, because only not everybody go through the co-op stream,
gets
right?
into the co-op,
Like
right?
co-op 20 depends on the batch. So
Yes,
it's
very
hard to,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, very true. As I mentioned, work experience is not only important for you to get your first job here, but also from the express entry perspective. Express entry has changed now. We have targeted us. IT people, it's easy for you guys, but if you still have work experience, you will get, your CRS will be higher because you have 1 to 3 years of overseas work experience. So that's very important. Right. So how was your journey with CIP? How did you find actually about CIP? We only met, right? We were a virtual platform. You processed everything virtually. Anil ji was there, myself and Akila madam. I think those days it was just 3 or 4 people in our team.
Mhm.
You started your process in 2000. Oh no, we already had a big team by the time, but Anil ji was processing, I think. So it was May 2019, right? When you guys came to Canada.
We started processing in 18 itself, right? We started talking in 18 itself, because for 19 you have to prepare 1 year in
Yeah,
advance.
and I
Prepare,
think
yes.
We applied through you long back. I think in 2018, June or July itself, or sometime during that time we applied.
Yeah.
And then
And when talking about the journey, we have a strange story to tell actually. We never knew what is CIP. We got to know through a friend, and he convinced 3 of us to come to Canada, and he didn't come to Canada. And
he couldn't.
He couldn't.
I think Gautham sir, I think 4 of us applied together. Chaitanya, me, Sam, and then Samir was there. Samir was the
Yes.
4th guy. And he gave your contact, that he told us about you, and then we applied together. So 3 of us came here, while the one who motivated us did not.
Yeah.
Did not do
You
the mistake,
mentioned
right?
correctly, you mentioned correctly that it was totally online, and for a person who has never, or for at least for me, who never had a family abroad, to go through a consultancy, and we all are aware that how the world is. It was like we were a little reluctant, but yes, the way the process was streamlined, I think it was something that people should definitely look into. And
and good thing is that your guidance was really important, and also it was like not everything you. I mean, a lot of consultancies, they take over everything. I think they wrote SOP or something. What was that?
The statement of purpose.
Statement of purpose. Yeah.
Statement of
So
purpose.
they do it by themselves, but you guided us to do that. Like you proofread it, but at the same time we did it ourselves. Like that was the
It's
good
very
thing, right?
important to, yes, Zifa, that is very important to keep, see, end of the day, this is your journey. And if you are not able to write your SOP, how will you even study and graduate? Second, when, there are 20,000 sub-agents in India, and every dog basically is a sub-agent education consultant now. So there is a standard template, and this is your journey. And when a consultant writes, it just takes 5 seconds to go through and see that this is some written by a consultant, right?
Yes.
They miss a lot of important things. So that's very important. That is your chance to showcase your profile to the visa officer for the visa perspective. So that's very important. And I always advise students, please don't let your agencies write your SOP. That is the critical document apart from your academics and programs. So, you came to Canada. So what are we all talk about the good things, right? You're a permanent resident, you have a job, you bought a house, all good. But let's start with the challenges, right? You came during the COVID, when the COVID peak hit, right? 2020, 21, you graduated around this time. So how you came that time, and, so what are the challenges you faced as an international student, as a professional, starting again from your zero, from your professional journey again to start again as a student? Like, what are the challenges you had to face here?
Yeah, so the challenges were that when we come here, as a student, we take up part-time jobs. So we take up part-time jobs, which we never, those kind of things we never do in India. And for me personally, that was a huge challenge, because I was ready. I was mentally prepared that okay, I can work in a restaurant if I have to. I can be a cashier and do whatever. But when we are actually doing that stuff, it's really difficult to accept it. Like I was working in IT there. I had a decent job, but then when as a cashier, when I had to uh clean the restaurants and all that, I didn't feel good about it. I don't know why, but those were the challenges. And plus the challenge was that when we come here, as I said, we were in a very, I would say, intensive program where we had co-op and a lot of competition in the first semester. And coming here, learning to cook on your own, doing a lot of assignments, which we are not used to in India, because in India, I think we study only during the exam
Last
time. But
exam.
here
Yeah.
like if it's a 4-month semester, we are studying right from the first day. The first day itself, we get assignments. So completing that, and that too nicely, like not just copying and pasting, plus part-time and plus cooking. So everything, it's very difficult to manage. It gets very overwhelming, especially in the first 2 semesters.
And just to add on that, one thing that we have to keep in mind, especially for folks who are looking for a decent job here, we never actually allowed our part-time to be on a superior spot than our studies. Like, we needed money. We needed just to survive. But at the same time, we also had a GIC. So we always, gave priority to our studies. and assignments. So because we know ultimately this is just for 3-4 semesters. Once we are out, we were not looking to do, work in a restaurant or work as a security guard. That was always supportive on the side, but never, a
Yeah,
priority
I
for
think
us.
many
The
students make,
primary.
many students make that mistake. Even like we have seen, they work more than 20 hours sometimes. Or let's say if they work uh, overtime, so they basically hamper their studies if they have to work too much, right? Because they both cannot be managed. So that's what we decided, that we'll give priority to studies. Part-time will be just to support us, because in the first year we do have GIC, as you said, right? So yeah, it's quite difficult, especially in the first year.
Yeah.
And we were actually lucky enough because we had co-op in our curriculum, so that gave us a decent job, so we could actually leave our part-time sooner and we could start with our technical job.
That's very important to look into programs which have co-ops, especially two-year programs. You not only save money, not paying the full tuition fees, but if you're lucky, you'll be able to land in a job which might, uh, you know,
Yeah, that's what,
uh,
like, because through co-op, if you do good, then you can continue there as a part-time student, which I did. Like my fourth semester was a part-time in the same company. And then you also get, if there is an opportunity, you also get hired over there. So it's really a blessing to have to be in a co-op program.
yes, yeah. So, how was Kitchener-Waterloo, Conestoga College, Kitchener-Waterloo? Did you feel safe there in the environment, living in that city?
Yeah, I think Kitchener, like we still miss it because we just moved to Hamilton 6 months ago.
Mhm.
And if you love Kitchener, if you love the vibe of student life, or probably especially the 2 kilometers where you have Conestoga, Laurier, and then Waterloo
We were living
University.
in
So
Waterloo.
we were living in that 3 kilometer zone for 3 years. And we love that place because even at 9-10 o'clock, you can walk out and you will feel and you will see, all students moving around. So that makes the place very happy and lively. Yeah, but coming to Hamilton now, we miss it a lot, especially in the neighborhood where things get super quiet even after 8 p.m. So yeah, it was very safe with a
Yeah,
lot of
same.
students around.
Yeah, even I used to return from my part-time at around 11 p.m. at night, and I never felt that it was not safe. So yeah, everything
Yes.
was good. Uh, a good thing about Kitchener is that it has a lot of Indian restaurants, and new Indian restaurants are opening up over there. So we don't miss the Indian food as well too much.
That's nice. Well, congratulations on buying your house, in Hamilton. So, uh, about the IT, what is your, what was your domain in IT previously? And I know it's been tough with the US tech layoffs. The whole world is reeling with the layoffs. But how long did you have to find? Like you graduated in September 2020, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, how long did it take you to find jobs? It was those COVID times. It was still not easy, but still, I think there were no tech layoffs those days, right? When you started looking for jobs. So how was it like?
You want to go
Okay,
ahead?
so we both have different stories because she got the job from the co-op, so she continued from the co-op. So the first
Oh,
thing that
that's nice.
Yeah,
always say about networking. We just hear about the word networking, but if you use it properly, you will understand the power of networking here. So she got it through the co-op. For me, it was a little different because I was one of the people who got affected because the
of
co-op
COVID.
generally is for 4 months, but because of the COVID, that 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 shutdown was like 20-30 days alone. Like it was only for 3 months, 10
3 months.
days. And plus they
And
were not
because of
hiring.
COVID, they were not also hiring for future, like part-time or
Yes.
continuing with time after graduation.
Mhm.
So time was affected. But for me, it was like I did co-op over there, and then I got part-time for the fourth semester because fourth semester was still remaining for my studies. And then they also offered full-time after I graduate. So for me, finding a job was not difficult because I just continued in the same company I did co-op. And then I switched after 2 years of working over there. So I switched back in
Yes, that's
March.
that's still a long time. Yeah. So Saeem, how was your like how many interviews did you have to go through? How many jobs
Uh,
did you apply? How were the interviews? You
so
guys are in RPA, right? Robotic
Yes.
process automation.
This
yeah.
time you go first, and I'll explain my story.
Okay. So for me, like people always say that when you apply, you should keep in mind out of 10, you will always hear back from one person. So when we, like, as a student, when we apply for 10 jobs, we get disheartened that we are not getting any reply, or people are not, not even looking at a resume. So there's no point applying. But if you keep that maths in your head, I always, I had that math in my head that, okay, when I apply 100 of them, 10 of them are going to reply back to me. Out of those 10, I am probably going to get 7 interviews. And out of those 7, probably I will have 3 or 4 interviews, and then probably I'll have one of them. So if you have that maths clear in your head, then probably that should give you enough motivation of not moving out of saying and saying, no, I'm not finding a job in just like 1 month or 2 months. So for me, it was just a couple of interviews, fortunately. But yes, later on, I got the job in corporators, and yes, it was easy for me from them. So I'm still in corporators.
Yeah, and for me, I would say like my domain was always RPA. Like in India also, I was working in that domain, but I studied mobile solutions development over here. So mostly from my batch, people were choosing full stack development or mobile development, something like that, mobile application development. But my idea was that if that's a new domain for me, like if I go with full stack or mobile application development, I was open to that. But at the same time, what I had in mind was that my expertise is in RPA. So if I get a co-op in RPA domain, it would be easy for me to showcase that skill within 4 months of co-op and be better than other co-op students and maybe land a part-time or a full-time job over there. So that's why I was more, which actually happened. So I was more keen towards finding a co-op in RPA itself because I
And
had
she convinced me to
experience.
actually get into it. Actually, I did try RPA when I was in India, but it was just for hobby and fun. But when we came here, she convinced me to let's go in RPA. And because it was, and believe me that I got to know that still bank here in Canada are still getting used to RPA. Like
Yeah,
they
still
have some
adopting.
version of RPA, but they're still using, we are working in UiPath right now, that tool. So they're still getting used to that. And I thought, okay, that's a niche skill. Probably they will have more demand. And luckily enough, we landed in that. I'm not saying that everyone should jump in RPA,
No,
but
not
I'm
that,
saying
but
find something where there's less crowd,
less
find where
crowd.
you can
Yeah.
excel and probably groom your skill in that new area.
Interesting saying. So can you tell me, like, RPA, robotic process automation, right? Like I know the terminology, but not an IT guy. So what would you advise, like somebody who is a fresher, is this technology which should probably on a long term and people freshers should look into this as a career? How do you and how do you see the demand, growing in Canada and in the future?
For now, like if you would have asked me like a year ago, I would say blindly, yes, it's the best thing that you can do. It's a niche skill. But with this whole chat GPT thing coming in, and people talking about or like making things just by typing into a chatbot, but I still feel for that age to come, we still have 5-7 years to go minimum. So within that 5-7 years, when we don't know, IT changes too soon to predict as of now. So I think that's a very good for any fresher. And sometimes people take it by mistaken that it's something very easy. And especially in my company, when we hire a co-op, sometimes they say that we do not need any background experience for coding, but we do. So if you have basic of OOPS or basic of programming, then I think it's a very good place to get started, especially if you're a fresher.
Yeah, and you can grow in that area. Like RP has a future with like integrating with machine learning and all. So a lot of people, what they do is they start learning machine learning side by side and then switch to that domain, like artificial intelligence and machine learning or data science, something like that. They start moving into that domain.
Interesting. So are you planning to, like, going forward, right? Like 3, 4, 5 years, is there any specific technology, like you mentioned, artificial intelligence, right? Is this something you guys are also contemplating for the future?
I think so. For me, Sam wants to completely move into management side, but for me, I'm still thinking whether I should stay in the technical field. But yes, I tried to learn machine learning last year, I guess, but I didn't continue. I also started looking at AWS cloud engineer certification. I did something over there also. So basically, we can't stick with one technology for all our lives. So we have to keep
Keep
moving
upgrading
or
ourselves.
keep upgrading, I would say, or keep learning more so that in future, either if you move as a solution architect, then you have knowledge about a lot of domains, and it's easy for you to navigate
One thing
with.
that I probably have a different point of view there, and that's going to be true for very less people. But people say now learn Angular, then they jumped on Java, then they jump on Ruby, and these are new programming languages that have evolved in last 3 years or 2 years, right? But I still feel if you're good in Java, if you're still good in ASP.NET, C Sharp, there are still
Like
jobs for you.
core programming
So these are
languages.
never going to go away. But yes, you have to be good at them, because right now most of the companies are moving towards the new technology. So if you are one of those, make sure you are one of the best there. Otherwise, you have to keep growing.
That's interesting. So, one last question before you. What would you advise all the prospective international students, Indians, Bihar, or, anybody who is planning to study, work, and live abroad, and how can they be successful, right? We talked about the challenges. What would you advise them to be successful here, in this journey? It's a big challenge. I always tell people, when you are leaving your home country, your family, you're starting from zero. There's a lot of hard work. It's a long term strategy. It is not something which will happen in 1 year, maybe 2 years. So, patience, consistency is very important. But your experience, you've been through this as well. So what would you advise? Let's start with Zifa, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that is important is keeping a positive mindset, because sometimes we get persuaded by people who didn't have maybe good experience. So we start thinking from that perspective that, okay, yeah, this is not working out. But one thing that we should remember is that we struggled a lot to come here. We spent a lot of money, we invested, so we have to take out a good return from that. So one thing is that we should always come with an open mindset, that we'll if we have to start something from some, maybe we were
Scratch.
from scratch, like maybe we were a senior developer there. If you have to start with a junior, don't hesitate to do that, because it will not take time to get again promoted to a senior developer. But if we keep looking for a senior position, we might keep looking for it for many years, and we might not get it. So open mindset is very important, I feel like. And then we all know hard work and persistence and consistency, those are definitely important.
Yeah, and I would like to highlight one thing that we have observed in especially last 1 year, that people keep talking about inflation, because we have seen how prices have gone up in last 1 year. That's the reality that Canada is going through. But again, having said that, I don't think if you are coming here, that's going to be a wrong decision for you. Like if you are who knows what to do, you know what your career paths are, if you do your proper research, then I think you can, of course, come here, take that job, and you can still live happily here. And all those things that Zifa mentioned, that you have to be in a positive mindset. Just for example, like she talked about, if someone is leaving Canada and they are
Yeah,
uploading their
because
vlog,
right now
right?
there are too many negative comments we are hearing,
Yeah.
right,
And we
everywhere.
all know how algorithms work. Like if you start watching one video, you'll get 2 on the second day and probably 4 on the third day.
Yeah.
So in order to saying to have a positive mindset is easy, but to maintain it's difficult. So you have to find people, probably watch videos and vlogs, which is going to help you rather than demotivate you. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah. And,
and
and one thing, yeah, go ahead, Zifa, please.
inflation or these struggles are everywhere. I think it's true for any country, it's true for India, it's true for UK, it's for all the countries, not just Canada. So yeah, like I think we should not crib about things and just keep moving.
Yeah, thank you. Saim is I'm very proud of you guys. And Saim, I think very interestingly, he worked part-time. You also worked at Conestoga College, right? For some time.
Yes,
Are you still doing it now, or you've dropped it?
No, that's the I like teaching from like my childhood days. Like even I was like seventh, eighth grade, even my engineering, I used to help my classmates. So that's something I like very much. And if you get money out of it, that's the best thing you can do. Like doing a part time on the side, like side hustle is always good. In Canada, you say you cannot have just one job. So yeah, that's something I'm planning to do, continue for it, like at least next couple of years.
Interesting. So you're still teaching. So, it's so unique, like, and also kind of, I'd say probably for me, having someone from our CIP agency who graduated, who is an IT professional and started his journey as an international student and now teaching international students as well, right? It gives so much of, I think your students are very lucky, Saim, because you've been through this, and when they see you, I think you are an inspiration to them.
And yeah, like yeah, that's true. But apart from that, it also gives you a different lens to wear. Like I'm with no disrespect to any other, like not being international, but if I teach, I know exactly what's the last bencher doing right now, and I on purpose crack jokes because, and I always make up stories or probably tell sometime what we used to do. So that's something where you can connect, and I think
Yeah.
that's where I think that's one thing that helps me to become a better instructor.
And what are you teaching, Saim?
So it changes every time. So I started with software analysis and design, so mostly for an analyst, all those class diagrams and those stuff. So I taught that for 2 semesters. Then I taught last winter testing, and from this January, like I should say last fall, I taught testing, and this winter I started C#. So it changes every semester for me.
Interesting. That's really, really impressive. Guys, well, thank you very much for joining the talk, our CFE International Graduate Review, and congratulations, for all your achievements. And I still remember talking to you both from your journey from India, in our WhatsApp groups, in our WhatsApp calls, in our Google Meet. Those days we used to do a lot of Google Meets, right? And then came Zoom. And I'm so proud of you for all your achievements. And again, thank you for you just had a query today, Zifa, and I asked her, Zifa, would you mind doing an interview? And she said, yes, definitely, we will.
And the good thing is that it's not just we came here for education, but you also helped us. You were willing to help us for anything, like for PR application. If we have any issues, you were able to guide, right? I think joined the Zoom calls during that time as well. And now I had to apply for my parents' visitor visa, so I again contacted you. So
Sure,
that's
definitely.
very unique. Not all consultancies provide that freedom or service. So yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you guys, and good luck. And I'm looking forward to, having you. One interesting thing, I have all of you on my Facebook, and I see when students come in and then they buy their first cars, then they get their, degrees and their first jobs, and they get married and children coming in. I see all this. So such a pleasure to be a part of your dreams come true of your journey. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you giving your time today.
Thank you.